everybody.
Hi. So it's been a long time since we've done an update video. We're coming up on, I think, almost 3 weeks.
Yeah.
There have been a few reasons for that. One, there's been a lot going on, so we're trying to see exactly where we are for a while and just get more complete information. But then also, in all honesty, for a while we just weren't feeling up to doing this video. It's a very different update than any of our other ones have been. And this is also an update not just for everyone who follows Aria's story on YouTube, but also to give friends and family who know what's been happening, to give them a more complete
Picture.
a more complete picture of what exactly happened. So, on Wednesday morning, November 29th, which today is, what is today's date? I don't even know what day it is.
December 17th.
Okay. So yeah, today is Sunday, December 17th. So on Wednesday, November 29th, around 4 a.m., Aria's nurse came in to give her her regular scheduled medication and said that Aria's coloration didn't look right. She turned the lights on to get a better look at her and saw that she was extremely pale, and then the alarms started going off saying that Aria's oxygen levels in her blood was too low, much too low, and it dropped very quickly. They immediately changed out her trach because with how quickly her oxygen levels dropped, it was possible that her trach could just be clogged with mucus or secretions or something. So they changed that out immediately to try to open her airway. But by that point, her oxygen had dropped. I'll say this first. When they did change her trach out, they did not see any obstruction within the trach. So we still don't know what actually caused it. But anyway, after the trach change, her oxygen levels had dropped so far that her heart stopped. They immediately started doing compressions, CPR, and continued doing CPR for over 30 minutes. Around the 20-minute mark, they did start discussing with everyone who had assembled whether or not to continue, and the decision was made by someone. The decision was made to continue giving compressions, and at some point after the 30-minute mark, they did stop. Our understanding is that they were pronouncing Aria dead, and that as someone was going to turn off her monitor, her heartbeat started again. Very faintly, but definitely coming back. And so what's happened as a result of that? Anytime your heart stops, it stops delivering oxygen throughout your body. It affects every organ in your body, the brain worst of all. And so whenever the brain is without oxygen, especially for an extended period, it causes damage. It will cause swelling. So Aria's brain did swell, and as that swelling goes down, then those brain cells that did swell, they die. I'm I'm not a medical expert, but my understanding is that it's not guaranteed that all of the cells that swell die, but that everyone that does, there's a chance for it to. So Aria was moved to the PICU, that's the pediatric ICU, intensive care unit. Forged much more intensive care because at that point she was needing direct intervention to stay alive. And so we got the phone call around 4:30 or so that morning.
Yeah.
And all they could tell us over the phone was to get to the hospital as quickly as we could. The day before, she had a great day. We were talking about trying to get her home right before Christmas. Obviously, that's no longer on the table. But anyway, for a few days, we did not really know for sure where Aria stood in terms of if she was going to make it or recover. There were a lot of things that had to be done to keep her alive. And feel free to interrupt me with anything I'm forgetting.
So they of course had her on a lot of medication for about a solid week. She was just out of it on so much medication that she wasn't awake. So she was just laying in bed the whole time. They had what's called an EEG, is that right?
Yeah.
An EEG on her head. So basically these electrodes that read brain activity, and then she had like her head wrapped so it covered the electrodes, kept them in place. And that was to basically see if she had any seizures or anything else like that. She started off having what was called myoclonic jerks, but after a few days she did start to have seizures. So they still have her on seizure medication right now.
Which the reason why they had her so sedated then, and then she is still very sedated. But basically every anti-seizure drug is a sedative, because what they do is the way it was put to us is that it quiets the mind, it slows brain activity, which is what you need in order to prevent seizures. And there's just no way, from what was explained to us, there's no way to do that without sedating the patient.
Yeah, and she also had to be sedated, aside from that, because like if she was starting to wake up, she was getting agitated, and then her ventilator, the hospital ventilator they had her on, wasn't able to do what it needed to do for her.
Right, she would fight against it. She wouldn't let it push air in.
Yep. So agitation, fighting against the ventilator, brain activity, all that just basically really needed to keep her sedated. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. You already mentioned the MRI showed the brain swelling after a few days, takes a few days.
The MRI was done a week after I think just short of a week after the event.
And they can't, with the brain, they can't tell you exactly like, hey, this is impacted, this is going to be the result. The brain works in weird ways. They've seen things where kids will dramatically heal afterwards, or they won't. And so they're like, here are some things that she may deal with afterward, but we can't tell you for sure because it just sounds like the brain is it's unexpected. It varies per patient.
Yeah. Right now, the loose predictions are some degree of difficulty in learning, whether it be trivial or extensive. We won't know possibly for a couple of years.
Yeah, they also anticipate some kind of physical disability, maybe not being able to walk, or
either delayed walking or inability to walk.
Yeah.
Could be one or the other.
So, and I think they've mentioned some other things, but really it's all just been, we don't know.
Either delayed or inability to learn language, to be able to talk.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, basically, it was a very, very severe cardiac arrest. The MRI, when she was able to have it done, showed extensive swelling throughout basically the entire brain. The only part that seemed unaffected was the brain stem, which, from what was explained to us, all of her life-preserving functions, such as breathing, heart rate control, blinking, reflexes, things like that, that all of those seem to be unaffected completely. But
higher level functioning seems impacted.
Yeah, that their main concern is her higher level functions. What we've seen so far is that a much more limited range of movement that she's capable of right now. She has not yet been able to turn her head to the right since the event. It seems like turning her head to the left is her resting position, and it seems like it takes a little bit of effort for her to get it center line.
Yep.
And she can't really get it past center. Not yet.
She also, behavior-wise, she's not kicking around and all that like she was before. We don't fully know how much of that is sedation though, because she's all those medications we were trying to take her off of to get her home. She's back on them plus one more.
She's on more sedation than she would have been before.
Right, and then on top of that, the seizure medications, which have some level of sedation in those. So we really don't fully know where she's at.
Right, and the doctors have told us that there really is no way to know right now, that all we can do is wean her off whatever medications she will tolerate coming off slowly to make sure that we don't risk her having more seizures as we go. And evaluate her in a couple weeks, evaluate her in a couple months, and evaluate her in a couple years. Basically, everything may have changed permanently.
And we've already started working with therapists to try to figure out what can we do to help her. Started working with physical therapy, occupational therapy, trying to get her legs kind of stay in this
They called a frog position.
Yeah, they stay out, and it actually looks uncomfortable, but that's kind of where she places her legs. And she tremors too. So it's like we're trying to kind of help bring all of her limbs back to center line, teach her how to do that again.
Teach her how to operate each limb again.
Yep. So it's kind of like she's back in a NICU phase. She likes pressure, like on her chest, like if, when you hold babies, things like that. She's kind of back in that phase again, needing to relearn motion again, all those things. So she's had a very rough, intense past 3 weeks.
Yeah.
She is finally back. So she was sent to the pediatric ICU, and she, like 2 days ago? Anyway, she was taken back to the TICU, Technology Dependent ICU, which is where she had been before everything happened. So we're glad that's a step in the right direction. She's able to be back in the TICU, meaning that her blood gas was good enough to come up here. She's off of all her IV medications.
But basically at this hospital, the TICU is used basically as a step-down unit, and so the fact that she's been sent back to this unit means that she is no longer in a life-threatening condition.
Yeah. That
she is stable enough for less intensive care. That being said, she is still in more intensive care than she was prior to the event, and will be for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. And we've shown family and friends pictures of her like sitting in something they call a feeder seat. It basically helps her to sit up and
it helps bring her legs in so that she's
Yeah, she
not,
can't spread them out like in that frog position. It
right,
also
which
lets
we,
her
we
look
want
around.
to prevent her from staying in that position because we need her leg muscles to basically for her to learn coordination with those again and not keep them fully wide open, because the goal is for her to be able to walk one day, even if it is delayed.
Yeah, we are getting her to do things again, but she's still not, you know, she's not looking around the same way that we were used to seeing her do. She doesn't move around in the bed a ton on her own. Right now she's not awake much.
I think the most movement we see her do right now is when she yawns.
Yeah. We did see today, or hear today, she did a number of yawns, but we were able to actually kind of hear her make noise, which I guess it's debated on if it's okay for her to make noise around the trach. For us, you know, we love it. We love hearing it, and so we really enjoyed hearing her yawn today.
And as long as her oxygen levels are at a healthy level, then most of the staff here feel that it's beneficial for her development, for her to be able to make noise. But if her oxygen levels are not where they need to be, then they can also inflate the cuff inside her trach more to close that air leak so that she won't be able to make any noise, but also the air being given to her through her trach won't be escaping.
Right.
But
she has a ways to go.
a long ways. But she has shown some promising signs. We have seen little small hints that her personality is still in there.
So we're definitely hoping. Some days are harder than others, for sure. Right now, just some days we are overwhelmed, and other days we get excited about the small things.
Yeah.
So that is where we are at. I know not the update that the YouTube community or really anyone else wanted to hear, but YouTube mainly, since we haven't posted there in such a long time. But hopefully this has brought clarity to kind of everybody. I hope.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
she was brought back for a reason, and it seems that just the fact that she was brought back after they had tried to do compressions, after they
had
stopped,
had called it.
That was kind of a miracle. Everybody kept calling her Miracle Baby. So she's still here for a reason.
Yeah.
It's just really tough sometimes to...
We don't believe that God sent her back for this to be her ending state, but we don't know how long the road will be.
Right. And we will show you guys where she's sleeping right now. So walk with me. Oh yes, and my lovely Christmas decorations. So here she is. Sleeping. And kind of knocked out right now. And there's the little foot. She's got it at kind of an angle. Sorry, baby girl. She didn't like that. She did not like that. Say hi to everybody. And she is sick too. So she looks a little bit rough right now around the eyes because
she has a
some
bacterial
bacteria.
infection in her trachea.
Yep.
Because of course we can't do one thing at a time, can we, little girl?
Nope. Cannot do. She just likes to. She's our feisty little dragon still.
She's multitasking.
But yeah, so she is sick right now. On top of everything. So, but glad we could finally update you guys, and we will hopefully post another video soon. But thanks, guys. Thanks for the love and prayers and encouragement.
Thank you for all the prayers and.
All right. Bye, everybody. Have a wonderful
Christmas?
Sunday. Hopefully we'll post before Christmas.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Love you guys. Bye, everybody.